Shalom, Akim. First and foremost, definitely want to start by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto the Heavenly Father, whose true name is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone who do rule well. Peace and salutations to you, brothers, doing this work in truth and in sincerity. Hey, prophecy is popping off, man. You know, um, Especially with all the things that are going with immigration. With Trump coming after, you know, the Northern tribe, which is the Latinos, okay? And now he's setting his focus on the so-called Haitians, man, okay? And we know this is a tumultuous time. As a matter of fact, let me see here. There's an article that went into it, talked about that little skirmish that the Haitians had with ICE. Let's see. Okay, let me play this video real quick. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
Running your business on the go just got easier with the QuickBooks mobile
Okay.
app. Be prepared for tax time. QuickBooks.
More than 300,000 people face the prospect of being sent back to Haiti in September thanks to a change in U.S. policy. The decision comes just months after Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem ended temporary protected status extensions for Haitian migrants in February.
All right, so now, these are the Haitians, and not too long ago, the Northern tribe was facing the same type of issue. Okay, with them coming through the border, through the Biden administration, and now Trump coming into office. Okay, he promised to, send all those migrants that came to the border back. And one of the things that he was using, one of the prefaces that he was using was the fact that, you had gang members that came, through the border, and he wants to try to keep the border safe, so on and so forth. So, he's coming up with all different type of devices to try to, persecute Jacob, man. As a matter of fact, let me get this real quick. Right, scriptures goes into it, man. The things that are written aforetime were written for our learning. Right, so this is the book of Jeremiah 30, and then we all know this precept. Okay, it says, "Alas, for that day is great." Okay, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Okay. And that Jacob that he's talking about, it's not talking about the whole entire nation, because we know ultimately that two-thirds of our own people they got to be destroyed on this side because they refuse to turn back to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Only the one-third of the nation of Israel is going to return and receive salvation. Okay. And even some of them, some of us, right, might be martyred for this truth. Okay. So the most important thing to remember is that, these things were written aforetime so that we could find comfort in what the Lord's about to do, and that we can, hide ourselves, man. That we can prepare ourselves spiritually for what's about to happen. Because Esau is not going to spare any expense, man, when he comes through, and he's starting to do it now. Okay, and it's evident. So like,
Haitians were first granted TPS under the Obama administration following the deadly 2010 earthquake and has been repeatedly extended due to rampant gang violence and political instability following the 2021.
and those Clintons, they went to Haiti and they raped and pillaged Haiti, man. All right, Esau Edom has a lot to pay for, and that's why those elites. Look, the Lord's gonna allow y'all to go into y'all bunkers, man. All right, you're gonna think you've gotten away for a while, but the Lord is just preserving you for the elect. Right? Because you got to pay for what you've done to the children of Israel, man. Okay, they went in that country and they kidnapped, they raped, they took. All right, a recompense has to come.
Assassination of Haitian President Jovenel Moise. In the announcement, Noem said that conditions in Haiti no longer meet the requirements of TPS designation and that Haitians can return home in safety despite the ongoing humanitarian crisis. The statement did not elaborate further. This as the U.S. Embassy in Port-au-Prince urges Americans not to travel to Haiti and to leave as soon as possible. Haitians in the U.S. are just the latest group to have their temporary protected status stripped away. The same was announced for migrants from Afghanistan, Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela back in March. The Trump administration has been dogged in its approach to setting a record number of deportations. According to the Deportation Data Project from UC Berkeley, ICE arrests have more than doubled across 38 states since Trump took office. While the highest number of arrests took place in states with large immigrant communities like Texas, Florida, and California, the rate of ICE arrests has risen sharply in other, more rural states like Idaho, which has seen a staggering increase of 924%. The Department of Homeland Security is urging Haitians and other groups to self deport and says Haitian nationals can pursue lawful status through other means if possible. Candace Cole, Global News, Washington.
Okay, so this is what they're doing to Jacob, man. They're being cast out and they're being deported, which may not necessarily be a bad thing because when you realize it, hey, America, this place is set to be destroyed by Yahweh Bashmi Yahushai. All right, he's going to put his spirit on these missiles, on these different, first of all, on the leaders of these nations that have issues with America, that have qualms with America. And he's going to put a spirit on them to launch their nuclear defense systems on them, and America's going to be caught off guard. Okay, it's not going to know which way it's coming from. All right. And this is why the Lord has sent his prophets out here to warn the elect, all right, and to read the other nations their judgment, why the Lord is doing this to them. All right, and it's all for the sake and the controversy of Zion. This is the book of Second Esdras 15, starting at verse 15. It says, we'll start at verse 14. It says, woe to the world. When that word woe means destruction, and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And the one people shall stand up and fight another people, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right? The people are going to take the power into their own hands to bring justice among themselves. All right. You had a whole bunch of Haitians that were fighting ICE agents. All right, preventing ICE agents from taking, their own people. Okay, let me see if I can find that. All right, and then it's being found out that the ICE agents they're taking these people and they're dumping them in the ocean, man. You can't make this shit up. They're putting them in cargo planes, right? With the ones that have the back wide open, and they're just dumping people out of the planes. It says nearly 400 dead bodies found piled up at mysterious site at U.S. and Mexico border. 2 people have been arrested following the horrifying discovery. 2 people have been arrested following the horrifying discovery of nearly 400 bodies piled up near the border of the U.S. and Mexico. Police made gruesome find and a private crematorium in Ciudad Juarez in northern Mexico. According to officials, the site was neglected and the bodies were found stacked up in a warehouse compound. Yeah, right. Let's see. And they're not going to let this stuff leak out anyway. Okay. Well, that's pretty much the only thing that they got, man. They're trying to keep a tight lid on this thing. Let's see here. Sorry, Salakia. Let's see what this says. Right, because when you go on these different social media and these different websites, they're saying that there's one chick. She was I guess she was watching the flight patterns of certain planes, and she saw that for just sending people back to their country, that the government was using cargo planes instead of regular passenger planes, which would be a lot more easier. Okay, so Esau Edom is coming after Jacob, man. It says days into Trump's new administration, where we spike amid a show of force on immigration. Right. Let me see when was this done? And this was January 26, 25. So this is the commencement of of Trump coming for Jake. And the thing is, it's only going to get worse, man. All right. They have this thing called the Big Beautiful Bill that's coming out, and everybody's pissed off about that. All right. And it seems that it passed. It says July 3rd, Congress passes Trump's sweeping domestic policy bill. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The Big Beautiful Bill is a budget reconciliation bill passed by the 119th United States Congress containing tax and spending policies that form the core of Trump's second term agenda. Okay, and people are worried about this bill because there are things in this bill, that don't work for the people. Let me see. Play that real quick. All right, it says Trump's Big Beautiful Bill sparks fear for healthcare and aid. Okay, it says Donald Trump's Big Beautiful Bill of tax cuts and spending plans is now headed to the House of Representatives after it passed the Senate with one vote majority. DW spoke with Americans in Virginia who are worried about the future of Medicaid and social programs because what they're doing is they're diverting funds. They're taking it from one program or one specific department and they're sending it to another department, right? Which, I think, they're trying to rebuild their army and the Lord pretty much has them preparing for war. Okay, so they're trying to make cuts and do all these different things in hopes that they can regain their power through their military. Okay, and this is why Trump had that whole parade go down on his birthday where he was showing off America's power, which was a joke. Right? America is no longer that pinnacle, even though they are a strong army. These other armies, man, they're ready, to let it loose on this place, man. Okay, and you need the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai in those days to protect you because there's nothing that you're going to be able to do. All right, once the Lord lets loose these other nations on America. Okay, but it's going to get really bad out here. In Second Ezra 16, okay, and 17 says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to, for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." All right, and a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. And that's coming down the pipe too, man. All right, with the lack of immigrant workers working on these farms, how do you think that's going to affect produce? How do you think that's going to affect farmers and how you receive your food in the grocery stores? Prices are going to go up. But recently, I think I heard Trump saying something about, allowing farmers, and immigrants who've been in America for more than 10, 15 years to continue, to stay here, but they're going to be the responsibility of the farmers. Okay, which I think that's indentured servitude or AKA slavery. All right, so Esau wants to put Jake back into position of slavery, man. All right, and or eradicate Jake altogether. But the Lord says that He's going to lift up the standard against these devils, man. He's going to give certain men supernatural power to overcome Esau Edom when he rose in like a flood. All right, so just wanted to, I guess you can call this like a little how you say what do you used to call that? Daily events, right? Giving you a heads up in regards to what's going on in the world right now. Okay, our people are being persecuted. And as a part of the hopeful elect, we're praying Yahweh Shem Yahweh have mercy upon us and our families, man. Right? Because he's not going to spare no expense to come after Jake. This is just the beginning. Okay, so it will behoove you to get your affairs in order. Get it right with Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. So when those times do come, you can be protected. Matter of fact, let me grab this real quick. It's the book of Zephaniah 2 and 3 says, seek ye the Lord, all you meek of the earth, right? The lowly, the humble, which represents, starting with the elect, the nation of Israel, which have wrought his judgment, right? Because we brought the judgment of the Lord upon ourselves. Baruch 4 and 3 says we were put into captivity, not to destroy us, but we provoked the Most High, into wrath, right? But it says to seek the Lord, which have, all you meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment, seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be you shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger, right? Because Esau, Edom is the rod of the Lord's anger, all right? The Lord uses him to bring punishment upon the earth, especially with Jacob. It's the book of Isaiah 10 and 5. It says, O Assyrian, the rod of mine anger. The Assyrians were a powerful nation, just like America is a powerful nation. And just like America takes on the attributes of these different nations in the past, Babylon, Egypt, Rome, Greek, or Greece, or whatever. All right. America it has embodied those same attributes, which is why the Lord calls America the Assyrian, the rod of his anger. And the staff in their hand is mine indignation. So the Lord has given Esau, Edom, the power to bring, you know, discomfort to the earth, man, or to discomfort the earth. Okay, he's the Lord's whooping stick. But when that whooping stick has outlived its purpose, then it's going to be put away. All right. So Lord willing, this was edifying. Definitely want to give all praise and honor to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rachakwadash, Shalom.